What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirt City Gym, back with a deck profile for all today. So today we're going to be taking a look at a budget deck. So I want to be starting to do these videos probably about once a week where I highlight a budget deck. Budget decks are really great for maybe newer players, people who are trying to really get in the game, maybe people who just really can't afford, all the new sets that are coming out, which has kind of been a problem with the game. Where new sets are coming out about every 3 months, and so it's getting a little harder to afford for some people. But regardless, like I said, I just wanted to highlight some of these, kind of give people some different options. So just to preface, none of these decks are going to be ones that I'm going to recommend you take one of these to a regionals or celebrations or a big ARG or PPG type event. But at the local level, these decks have the opportunity to do relatively well. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee you're going to go in and you're going to win all of your locals because you're going to take your $40 deck and you're just going to dominate. But you never know. It kind of really depends on how your locals really is. So today we're going to be looking at a black Xeno Trunks deck. So Xeno Trunks is a really fun leader. It's a leader that I've had a lot of experience with. I used to play Xeno Trunks quite a bit. One of my friends, whenever he'd come up to locals, this is always the deck I'd always keep in my pocket. I'd give it to him, like, hey, here, go play this. And he'd do really well with it because it's pretty straightforward. It's not doing anything really overly complicated. It's just aggressive, overwhelm, and all this kind of fun stuff. So let's get into the list. Alright, so first up, kind of taking a look at it, as you see, our average price based on TCG Player over on DBS Stacks is got us listed at about $43. Really depending on how you price this out, everything like that, where you go, whether you're buying from locals, cards you may already have, I'd honestly say you could probably get this deck for about 40 bucks. 43 is probably maybe a little bit more on the higher end, but 40 is about where I think you could comfortably get this deck out. And also feel free to make any changes to the actual list that you want, depending on whether you have more cards, whether you have more money to spend, things like that. There's always room for improvement for these decks. These are just really like a baseline to kind of get people into the game. Alright, so let us get into the visual view. Alright, so first up we got our leader, Xeno Trunks. So he came in the demo decks a while back, one of the first kind of sets of demo decks, I think demo deck 2, which actually, if you were to ever get your hand on the demo decks, a lot of these cards kind of fit into those demo decks as well. There's some Kabbas in there, there's some replacements for the Kais, there's Champas in there. So if you get your hands on those, which again, those are free, if you can find any of those, you can get several of these cards pretty nicely. But anyway, he's got the auto whenever he swings. You take the top two cards of your deck, put them in your drop area, and then if you have a red card in your battle area or your drop, or excuse me, red or blue card, for the purpose of this deck, we're only worried about red. But if you have a red in your battle area or drop area, you draw a card. So he's a draw on the front leader, which is really where you want to be right now with leaders. He's got it's like a burst type effect before burst was a thing. So if you're more familiar with the burst effect, that's really what he's got on the front side. And then whenever he awakens, you get a card from your warp and put it back in your hand. And then on the back side, he's got kind of the same effect, except it's not a mandatory, it's just an auto. You may activate main, take the top two cards of your deck and put them in the drop area, and then whenever he swings, you can remove 5 cards from your drop area, put them to your warp, and then he gains double strike, so he gets really aggressive at that point. Generally, you're not probably ever going to use his double strike effect on the back. It may come up in certain situations, but generally it's not one that we're really worried about using. Now into the actual battle cards. So we got 4 Intensifying Power Trunks. So he's just a 1-drop, 1 red, 5k auto whenever he swings. You can take a life and he gets plus 10,000 to crit. So he's a great pressure card. He is a Trunks GT, which will become relevant here in a little bit when we get down to the list. But he's just really great pressure really early. He's red, so if you swing with your leader, he's in play, you get to draw a card. Alright, next up we've got 3 Saiyan Kabba, so he's kind of similar to the Trunks. He's a 1-drop, 5k red whenever he swings. He's got an auto, you can take a life, he gets plus 10,000 and double strike, so he's really great pressure. Early in the game, late in the game, he's really efficient pressure, so he's a really great card. He's always been a good card, going all the way back to set 1. Alright, next up we've got Hidden Power East Supreme Kai, so this is our double strike card. It's a combo card for 1 energy. The battle card gets plus 10,000 power and gains double strike for the duration of battle. So again, this is really giving us the ability to efficiently pressure people. We give our leader plus 10k double strike. We give one of our other cards plus 10k double strike. We give the Intensifying Power Trunks double strike, so for 2 energy he's a 25k double striker crit, which is really strong. So I'm using the East Supreme Kai here. If you can get Champa, or you have access to Champa, further in your Instruction Champa from set 1, it's literally the same card. Like I said, if you get your hands on the demo deck, Champa's come in that, so that makes it a little cheaper for you as well. Alright, next up we've got our vanilla package, or our skillless package. We've got 4 of each of the 2-drop Piccolo and Yamcha. So these are 2 drops, 20k. They don't have any abilities. They're just 20k beaters. They're really nice. They're efficient. For 20k is kind of where you want to be in terms of energy cost and battle power wise. So you swing. It's pretty efficient. We've got ways to get these out into play later that I'll show you. But again, just really cheap, really efficient battle cards. Alright, next up we've got 3 Bodyguard Legic. So Legic is a 3-cost, 15k blocker, and he's got the ability, if your opponent has a battle card in play, at least one, and you have no battle cards in play, you can play him for free. So at the very least he's a free blocker, at the very most he's a free 15k swing. So again, just really strong stuff to have. Next up we've got 4 Chain Attack Trunks, and this is the most expensive card in the deck. He's running about $4.50 right now. But really, it's pretty crucial to what the deck's trying to do. It's one of those cards that you just always really want to have a playset of in general. It's one of the best red battle cards, really one of the best 4-drops in the game. So he costs 3 red, 1 other. He's 20k. He can attack battle cards in active mode. He evolves for 2 red on top of a Future Trunks, or a GT Trunks, excuse me. So this is this intensifying power Trunks right here. And then he's got the auto whenever he comes into play. You can put a battle card with a power of 15k or less into play from your hand. So again, really strong. It's efficient. It gets stuff into play. It cheats stuff in. We got 1 card in particular that we really want to put into play that I'll show you here in just a second. Alright, and then next up we've got 4 Unbreakable Spirit Son Goku. So this is just a pseudo super combo. It's a 1 10k power draw card. So again, this is just adding additional pressure wherever we need to do it. Alright, and the next up we've got 3 Xeno the Plane God. So this is the card that we want to put into play from the Trunks. So normally he costs 7 and he costs blue. We're never going to actually hard cast him. But he's a 15k and then auto whenever he comes into play. Both you and your opponent take all of your card or battle cards in play and all of your cards in your hand, shuffle them into your deck, and then draw 5 new cards. So this is a whole total board wipe, hand wipe. So it's really great, especially with an aggressive leader. You know, you're getting your opponent at pretty low life relatively quickly, and then you drop Xeno, reset everything, whether they have a big hand or whatever it is. But if you have a small hand, you can dump your hand before going into the Xeno, and then you just refill it. So it's really great. It's one of the best strategies in the game. It's ever since it's really came out. It's a great equalizer. It stops things like people who have mad hand advantage, mad board control, whether they're a really big setup deck like Shenrons and things like that. They'll have, you know, huge hand size. You drop Xeno turn 2, turn 3 after they've got all their Dragon Balls in the drop, and then you set them back to 5. That's really, you know, it's really crippling to them. So it's a really great strategy. It's really great for the deck too. You got a free 15k that swings after you reset everything. All right, next we've got Supreme Kai. This is our super combo. So as long as we have 5 cards in our warp, it's live. So we can start using the super combo as soon as like turn 2, turn 3, regardless of whatever our life is at. So it's really strong there. Alright, next up we've got Dimension Support Trunks. So this is our first Overwhelm card. So he costs 3 cards. He needs 3 cards in the drop and then 1 energy. You bring him into play and then you search your deck for a vanilla card or a skillless card with a 2-cost energy or less. So this Yamcha, this Piccolo. You put it into play and it gains critical for the duration of the turn. So again, this is really efficient. So for 1, you're getting 2 bodies, a 15k and a 20k with crit. And then you swing with that guy with crit, and then you can combo like the Champa or the Kai and give it plus 10k double strike. So you got a 30k double striker crit for 2 energy effectively, which is really strong. The 20k will stay in play until they deal with it. And if they're dealing with it, then that means they're not dealing with your leader. And in order to deal with the Yamcha or the Piccolo, since it's a 20k, generally speaking, at least with the leader, they have to commit cards in order to deal with it, or they've got to commit cards to a battle card to deal with it. So it's almost efficiently a blocker at that point, because if they're not dealing with it, then it's a 20k that's going to keep swinging every turn. So it's, again, really efficient, which is really where we want to be at. Alright, next up we've got Desperate Onslaught Bardock. So he needs 5 cards in the drop. He's a free Overwhelm. He's got critical, he's a 20k, and then auto, whenever he attacks, they can't activate blocker, and then they can't combo with battle cards from their battle area. So you're forcing cards out of their hand if they want to deal with him, and he's critical, which they're going to want to have to deal with him. Then you give him things like Champa or the Kai to give him double strike, so you got a 30k double strike crit for 1 energy effectively, because you overwhelm him for free. So again, really strong pressure. It's forcing cards out of their hand, and because it's free, you can, you know, play something. You can play this after doing the Xeno, because again, it's really efficient like we're talking about. Alright, and then next up we've got Dimensional Banisher Fu. So he requires 5 cards in the drop at 1 cost energy to warp him. he comes into play and he warps one of your opponent's battle cards. So he's hard removal. He removes anything that doesn't have barrier, regardless of how big it is, how small it is. If it's a problem card, if it's a blocker, whatever it is, you bring Fu in, he warps it, you swing in for a 20k double striker. So again, really strong, super efficient, super effective, great value right there. And then finally, we've got 3 of Planet M2. So Planet M2 is our field card. It's a 1-cost red, and then activate battle on your turn. You can tap it, and then you can give either one of your opponent's battle cards or their leader cards minus 5k for the duration of the battle. And so what that really works for us is it effectively makes our leader card a 15k on the front and a 20k on the back. So if we're not awakened but your opponent's awakened, you can swing in on the front side of your leader, still draw cards, and then pressure them because you make them a 10k to your 10k, so they have to commit cards that way. Or you can get rid of like cheap blockers, free blockers. You know, you can. It's effectively a free combo every turn. But it's also a red card, so it satisfies our Xeno Trunks ability. So as long as this is in play, every time you swing, you're drawing a card. So it's really getting you that hand advantage and things like that. And like I said, it's a free combo effectively every turn on your turn, and it lets you deal with threats. But the main thing is it just allows your leader to deal that extra pressure. But anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. As far as deck concerns, like I said, you're wanting to be relatively aggressive. You've got efficient threats that come on board relatively cheap. They bring out other guys. You give them double strike, this, that, another. You got crit. You really just want to, swing, and just kind of see how the cards go at that point. You're not necessarily looking to combo unless you're about to combo before you Xeno. Things like that. It's always really smart to save your swing with your leader till after you Xeno. So you Xeno, then you can awaken. You get a card from your warp, then you swing, then you draw a card. So you're gaining +2 cards where your opponent's stuck at 5. So those are really good options to have right there, just things to keep in mind when you're going to the Xeno round. But anyway, guys, if there's any other budget decks or any other decks you'd like to see me take a look at, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. Let me know what you think about budget decks and things like that. But other than that, guys, that's all we got, so we'll see y'all next time.